Hello everyone, this is my great pleasure to be talking in front of you. We heard lots of interesting lectures from the previous speakers, so I hope I will be able to do justice in this speech. There might be some repetition as we are hearing that Gen AI is transforming this world, but let's see, I have tried to put together a presentation which might be quite useful for the students, how they can really use the tools which are coming in this space and make them more efficient. So the topic of my presentation is power of generative AI and agentic systems. So before we start, I will just play this video, and probably if you have not seen it, I would like you to guess which movie is this one. Any guesses? I think the audio is not working, but I guess there is subtitles so you can see what the conversation going on in this video. Okay, so I will just pause this and I will ask you any guesses which movie is this? Have you watched this movie? Any idea? So this is actually a movie called Ex Machina, which came in year 2014, and this was about the scene was about a robot who is interviewing the person, and she is trying to guess whether the person is lying or saying the truth. And if you could see this entire conversation, she is kind of detecting that through his facial expression, maybe through his pupils or the eye movement. It could be anything. I mean, it is up to the imagination of the director who has built that movie. And at that time, the concept was that this particular robot, the Eva scale data, and she has absolute conversational ability to understand the person with whom she is speaking and then responding to it, asking questions and all those things. This movie has actually raised lots of discussion that time that what if we actually start training a model, a language model at a web scale. And that was, as I said, almost 10 years back. And now actually we have passed those 10 years and we have seen that world has really come to that stage. And we have large language model trained on web scale data, which can actually do a lot of very natural conversations, can fetch data. One of the most important power of large language models and generative AI, in my opinion, have been that it has actually removed the barrier between the humans and machines, because now you can converse in natural language, apart from other capabilities which people are also discovering. So this particular moment of ChatGPT being published and being famous, that word has not stopped, and we are living the moment of continuous disruption at really compressed time scale. So I will not go too much into the back, only I will talk about the 10 years. If we see, the first wave was around 2015 when everyone was trying to attack a single AI problem, be it image processing, be it a conversation, be it a conversation in a particular language, and people were building their own model. After that, the race to scale has begun from 2015. Google has come up with this architecture, transformer architecture, on which most of the language models are based on currently, have started making further disruption. And in 2022 and plus, we have seen that the compute has become very cheaper. Algorithms were possible to be run on these compute, and then we also saw a lot of development in terms of the diffusion model, which can generate images and all those things. And from 2020, so the world has not stopped, and 2024 we are seeing the time in which lots of agentic systems and frameworks are now emerging. I would like to draw your attention only from 2022 to 2024, it has been a really, really enormous and happening 2 years if we think about the technologies and platforms that have evolved or produced around generative AI and large language model. So let me just expand these two. And this is just a glimpse of these 2 years and the kind of race which is happening in this area, starting from LLM race in which almost all the big tech companies have started their own large language model they have produced, and then Meta has released large Llama model. They have open sourced it, and that was a very important and pivotal moment because that model has become a base model in lots of large language model applications, and it has actually triggered a lot of innovation around LLMs because of the access to that model. People have started fine-tuning, training it and improving it. After that, we see a lots of rise in the multimodal large language model in which the language models are not only trained on the text but also other types of modalities like images, videos and all those things. You can literally ask questions on the images, generate and change, and you have seen, all of you are actually might have used it in some or the other form. And again, I think the era from small language model has come in which what happened that the firms realized that many times we may want to actually leverage the power of language models, but we can't afford to go to the cloud because of the security reasons or because of the other factors, because of the network not being available. And again, a lot of quantized large language model have come up which can accommodate on your local machines. And finally, we see a lot of platforms being emerged around the multi-agent systems. And this is a very small glimpse. In fact, I might have missed a lot of players. I have already missed a lot of players in this. And the technologies and platforms are coming at very, very high speed. And where generative AI helps and how the people are using it. Probably I won't spend too much of time on this because this has been more or less covered by the previous speakers. But if we look at, these are some of the areas where mostly the people are already using it. I want to highlight, for example, we have the things like using the co-pilots to generate code, using computer vision model to generate different types of images, and using it on robotic system. For today's talk, my focus is going to be mainly on the software development and software engineering, how generative AI is transforming it, and we are really in an interesting time to build systems or software systems as we think. So this is very important to understand that earlier when we have to start building a software system, we have to literally do a lot of analysis, understanding and go through a complete process. Now with the ChatGPT itself, we can really make a small software application live within few minutes, and we'll just show that with some examples later down the line. So one of the key message which I want to give to the audience today is that the disruption is happening. It is happening at a high speed, and we have to embrace the disruption to our benefits. So leverage all the tools and platforms to really convert your ideas faster into the applications and make a use of it. So going forward, I will touch upon the things like how is Gen AI shaping the way software is built, and how can we use generative AI tools for software development at compressed time scale. So the agenda of my talk is starting with what does it mean to be software development, what are the different phases where generative AI fits, then how the traditional paradigm of software development is moving to an agentic paradigm, what does it really mean, and what does it mean to the other disciplines, and I will conclude with future. So coming to the generative AI for software development. As maybe I don't know if some of you might be from other discipline than computer science and software engineering or IT. This is the high level overview of a software development life cycle, which is quite similar to many projects or in other disciplines too. Maybe you replace coding with manufacturing or something like that. But it starts with requirement, then you first of all you understand what you want to build, and then secondly you start building your models that how the systems and subsystems will be connected together each other, how they will talk, how they will be organized. That goes in the design phase, and then finally you will start coding it using your programming language or favorite programming language, and then you develop certain test cases to evaluate that whatever you have built is actually working as expected, what is the quality of output, and finally you do the deployment of that software. What I'm going to show you is that with the available tools online, for example, ChatGPT, the second is icon you see is the Ollama, OpenWeb UI, Excalibra, PlantText. These are some of the tools which you can really leverage and then create your software system as you think about it. So it's kind of a really compressed time scale at which you can build these systems. So this is going to be a little bit of lively session, and I will probably change my screen here and there. So right now if you see, the major focus is that how we can start with this small, very simple requirements and then generate all these, what you see in the right, the different types of diagrams, an application and the source code. So let me just change my screen. Yeah. All right. So I will keep switching my screens here and there. So if you see here, I have this requirements written over here, and just to make things quicker, I will just go through the outputs which comes from the ChatGPT for this requirement, which is a loan processing application. And it's a very simple requirement. Of course, loan processing is not that simple, but I want to get information about the customers from the past data, and then I want to give the customer a credit rating, whether he should be given a loan or not. And just with this prompt, it has given me a complete system architecture, sequence diagram, and visualization, which I finally didn't use it because I didn't find quite interesting. Then I asked ChatGPT generate a sequence diagram in UML format, and it generated this type of diagram. Now I can actually copy this, and I can literally see it here in this tool. I think this is the same thing. So this is one tool, and then this is your another sequence diagram which I have got from that. So if you can see here, I need to probably reduce the size. This very neatly shows that how the front end, back end, database, all these things are communicating with each other in this application, and all those things are happening. Similarly here, this complete diagram, system level diagram is created. Yeah, it took some time, so now it is sequence diagram. So what you see here is that you can literally, you don't need to spend time on creating diagrams. All you need to do is that create it, and then you can make small changes if you think that those are not proper. Then in the end, once I am happy with these diagrams and understand that this is what I really need from my application, I have asked ChatGPT to generate a Streamlit application using the system diagram, class diagram, and sequence diagram. And I have asked that data is stored as local CSV file. It's a very simple example, of course, but you can ask that the data can be stored in Neo4j database or MySQL database or anything like that. And what it generates is a complete file structure, the folder structure, which we would need in that application, as well as it also gives you an example CSV file that this is how the table should look like in your application on which the application should work on, and also a Streamlit application code. So after all this, you can actually run this Streamlit code. I have already run it, so I will just show you the example of that rather. So this is the Streamlit application which is running on your machine, in my machine, and this is the application. Obviously, it's a very simple example, but one can write more complex prompts and iterate through it and build the application way faster than it used to be earlier. So it actually, the generative AI have really bridged the communication gap, in my opinion, with the machines. Earlier, to communicate with the machine and get the jobs done, we have to really learn the programming language, UML diagram and all those things. Now you have to be very, very descriptive in a way how you communicate about your application and explain it, and then it will do a job for you, and you can really become much more efficient in doing your job. Now, this is an aspect where I have used ChatGPT. As we know that ChatGPT is hosted on cloud and owned by OpenAI. So many times what happens that we don't want our data, which can also be sensitive, we don't want that data to go on ChatGPT. So a lot of advancement has happened to make this local models deployable, local large language model deployable at your machine, so that you can actually develop your own application which works on your local machine, uses your own local model, and performs the task. So one example I would like to show you here is the Ollama. Ollama is a platform on which you can choose any models. So for example, here you can see that these models are available. You can download these local model on your machine and start interacting pretty much like how we interact with ChatGPT. So I'll just come here and show you this example. So right now I have started this version of 3.18 billion parameter Llama version I'm running here, and we can actually interact here again with Llama with the same prompt. So let's just copy this prompt, which was the very simple small prompt, and let's see what my local model gives. The one advantage is that my data is not going out. Of course, the response will not be as good as we may get from ChatGPT 4.0, but yeah, I mean, as long as we don't want the application to be, or my idea to be out, I can really use local models. So if you can see here, this is what the response coming from local model which is running on my machine. So in most of the time, these models also do fairly good job, and if you use a combination of models, it can perform even better. So I will talk about that later. Moving on. I will come to this concept of agentic paradigm. So we saw the scenarios in which how we can build the software applications at speed and at scale using the modern tools. Second important disruption which we are currently seeing is the agentic paradigm of software development. As you can imagine that how the evolution of this language model and the related technologies has been, I have just tried to capture over here. If you see in the left hand side, initially when ChatGPT was announced, we used to use the ChatGPT like this. I mean, it was somewhere sitting and all of us go there, ask the question, write the prompts and get the response. Then we are moving to local model, fine tuning, prompt optimization, prompt templates, all those kinds of things are happening. The third change which is now happening is that now we are envisioning a role-based role-based execution of the model. So basically, you might have probably tried it, that if you start your prompt with a sentence like, you are a legal expert and your expertise lies in handling the criminal cases and you have all these things, how would you generate an argument? ChatGPT starts giving a very, very good argumentation as if by assuming that role. So the role assumption by the large language model has been an interesting phenomena which has led to this paradigm, agentic paradigm. And this paradigm is all about super specialization in which we can model the system as an agents working together. I will probably just draw an analogy of agentic system with an hive analogy. And by the way, this concept of agents and multi-agent systems are not very new. It has been there, and people have envisioned the different types of multi-agent systems in which there are sensors, they have limited memory, and they cooperate with each other. So the old multi-agent system used to be the system in which you have limited memory, limited intelligence and knowledge, but when you work together, you actually become much more powerful, and that is how the beehive analogy is I am trying to convey here. And earlier it used to be mostly in the form of sensor networks in which the individual processing units were having a very limited amount of compute and other memory and all. Now with large language model, what we are seeing is a newer agentic systems where the systems are having more memory, more intelligence, because eventually they are relying on a type of large language model and have more knowledge. And what does it mean is that now these agents can work together to solve much more complex problems. So how would it mean for a system to be a multi-agent? I will just go through one or two slides to make you understand. So at the core of multi-agent systems are multiple autonomous AI agents. And they are AI programs. They perceive their environment, understand the intention, and take action to achieve the goal. The only change which has happened is that now there is a good language model behind the scene to bring that intelligence. So overall, the characteristics which is offered by autonomous agent is goal-oriented action, logical reasoning and planning, long-term memory and reflection, and communication capabilities. And what does it mean for the software development? Earlier, when we were building software development, we used to view the software systems as a modules, series of API calls, different types of systems clubbed together, and look at more in the form of a microservice architecture. As you can see here that there is an input, then application A talks to B and C, and then the application D talks to both, and then the output. Now this type of workflows can be really changed with the agentic way of modeling the systems, in which humans are providing some prompts to describe the desired outcome. There is an AI agent called orchestrator which identifies that which agents might be suitable. So only through the natural language prompt, It identifies what could be the way in which I can call different agents and then orchestrate them working together and create a plan around that, and then the output is generated. In between, there may be human involved, human in the loop, which can provide some inputs to these agents to solve that. So just to give you a very small example here, let us assume that we want to build our own system which helps me in my trading strategy. I mean, let's say which stock I want to buy, what are the risks associated with it, what are the issues is with it, how the stock is performing. For that, we can think about these agents. One agent is data analyst agent, which can actually get lots of information from the internet, process it. Then there is a trading strategy agent, which comes up with a different types of trading strategies, and then asks the risk management agent what are the risks associated with this trading strategy, and then finally the execution agent executes the trade or gives me a suggestion of final recommendation. The important part here is that most of the agentic platforms and LLM frameworks now come up with the plugins to the tools which can offer all these functionalities. So you can literally create an agent in which you are calling a web scraper, which is actually going through all the web pages, finding out the different types of information about a particular stock, the sentiments, and gives you some sort of a suggestion, or performing a data analysis on top of that. The one advantage in this advancement has happened is that all these tools are now available to everyone, so that we can build our own crew who works for us, for our task, for my daily workflows. So I will just again switch my system just to give you a glimpse of this. So as you can see here, this is the Crew AI code. There is a platform called Crew AI in which you can create your own agents. You can even attach it to different language models. So one agent can work on Llama, one agent can work on Mistral, one agent can work on Phi. So basically you can really leverage a different power of different types of agents also. So what we see here is that the description of agents, what I am just doing is that I am defining the role, what it does, and what kind of things it is supposed to do in few lines of code. Right? And these are natural languages, and through that I am trying to define how my crew should perform and give the response. And right now all this crew is working on a local language model, and the input is I can just give my inputs over here, that which stock I am interested in, and it will give me suggestions. So I'm not going to run here, but usually what happens when you run it, each agent starts performing its task when you start a crew, and it will start thinking that, okay, if I have to analyze this stock, I need to go and scrape the net for Apple News or the different types of things which people are talking about. What could be the data analysis method? Just to give you a glimpse of it, I have captured the output from that interaction, and it starts from here. For example, the first agent, crew manager, it knows that he has to continuously monitor and analyze market for the selected stock. So it starts with that and then figures out how to do it. Now it has delegated the work to the co-worker, the data analyst task. Like that, and then data analyst task is fetching information from all these different websites to understand what could be the best statistical method to analyze this stock and how can I apply it, and then it gets all the details. So important point here I want to tell is that since these tools are available, we can really create workflows very quickly. We can leverage the language models and then use it to our advantage. So now the question comes, how could other discipline use this? And we actually heard a lot from previous speakers on this topic. I made just 2 examples to help people understand how we can use agentic systems in our scenarios. So for example, let's say I want to prepare myself for a debate, maybe as a lawyer. I can create an agentic crew with these agents, research and information gatherer. I can create an agent which develops an argument for me. I can create an agent which actually does a role play of debating opponent so that I can practice myself. And then I can also create an agent which does a role play of audience and judge so that I can prepare myself with different types of arguments which can come from all of these. And by the way, all these agents are in the back using large language models to create those scenarios for us. Similarly, let's say if I have to do a social experiment, then I can create an experiment designer assistant. I can use compliance check agent, which can check that if my experiments will comply to the rules or not. I can finally use analysis and reporting agent and data collector agent. So all these can work together for my task in a pretty autonomous way and perform that work for me. So we are continuously seeing lots of changes in the agentic paradigm, multi-agent framework, large language model, and things are moving at very fast pace. What I see as a next step is these 2 things especially that I would like to call upon. First one is that now large language models are moving from digital to physical with large action models. So there are models already trained which can generate robotic actions, motion and manipulation plans, but there is still little bit way to go because they are not as comparable to ChatGPTs of today, but in future the different aspects of robots would be mastered with more advanced large action models. Similarly, self-driving cars, what could be the better driving strategies and all those things. The cars have not been trained on all types of driving situations in the world, right? And that brings to the another area which is from fewer modality to more modality. And this is another types of language model which is being trained on called large word model. And it goes beyond text. So far, even the multimodal version of ChatGPT is actually trained on a very limited modalities. But with this type of project, large word model projects, we are going to see more and more models which are trained on real videos of 1 hour, 2 hours, and they have seen all different combinations of scenes and can address the scenarios. So how this large word model can help us? It can be used to simulate word, and we can use it to train the robots, autonomous vehicles, we can develop virtual reality applications and make AI system to be more environment aware. So as you recall, the conversation between the Eva robot with the human was more situation aware, in which she was able to understand if the person was telling a lie or truth. So with this, I will just close my talk and happy to take any questions.
Madam, I would like to ask her, the LLM race, you described the whole history of ChatGPT from 2018. Later it was taken by Sam Altman of Open Innovations. And thereby there is a lot of evolutionary aspect in ChatGPT development. There is a clear-cut DNA of ChatGPT evolution from Sam Altman to the latest Meta AI of Facebook. So my experience with the Meta is that It is a very marvelous experience because I can't explain it. Because I got a lot of epiphanies, a lot of revelations, etc. from triggered by Meta AI feedbacks to me, to my prompts. It gave wonderful answers. My question too is, some broadening elaboration is needed on agent. Agent means what I gather is that agent is modeled on human neural networks. It is modeled on human neural network paths. Our brain is mimicked, or our human brain is simulated through agent. Is it so? Agent. Even the complex neural network pathways are even duplicated by, or even it is replaced by Gen AI so that it can almost reach to the level of human brain. Now it is not only a simulation, it actually excels human brain. Is it so?
It has not yet reached, so I think your question is on AGIs. Have we reached AGIs?
Yes, yes.
We have not, this is my opinion. There are lots of tasks on which they do hallucinate, they actually don't have good reasoning capabilities.
But the hallucination is day by day reducing because as algorithms develop comprehensively, the hallucinations are coming down. My question is regarding the LLM, large language model race which is going on, because from 2018, now there is umpteen number of ChatGPT like Gemini, Copilot or Meta AI, umpteen number of ChatGPT is there. So it is a high evolutionary trajectory which is heading to reach the human brain level. What is your take on it? Because tomorrow, some 50 or years, no, but some 10 years after, what would be the paradigm of Gen AI? We can't predict because it will almost outsmart human brain.
So, okay, so I think your question is that if we have to do a comparison between generative AI, large language model with human brain,
Yes.
what is that comparison?
What is the race between human brain and LLM? Between the race is there, between LLM and human brain. The programmer and LLM. The programmer's brain and the LLM's brain. That is what I'm asking. What about the future trajectory of ChatGPT, generative AI, or quantum generative AI? Because with the advent of quantum generative, the total scene will be revolutionized exponentially. With the quantum computing comes, it will almost equal human brain.
Yeah, I mean, the day has yet to come. To answer your question, it has not yet come. There are lots of things which actually it can't do, as I was mentioning about large word model. We as a human actually, through our all sensory organs, capture lots of stimulus. We see, we actually feel the temperature, we feel the overall ambient and all those things, which is not available to these language models yet.
You mean the ChatGPT lacks the empathy quotient or the emotional intelligence? It only has artificial intelligence. It lacks empathy or emotional intelligence. That is.
Yeah, I mean, making a statement that whether it lacks it or not is a very different question, because we have to see the ChatGPT very different than the human brain. First of all, ChatGPT is at the end a statistical model. It has been trained on the data which has seen. It is very different the way human brain works. The human brain has different agencies for different types of activities which it does. So,
then you mean that it is only a statistical probability content only. You are saying
yeah,
that?
at the core, all of these are statistical engines actually. I mean, if you look at the neural networks, they are, of course, a very complex, as we saw in the previous talk also, 1.7 trillion parameters. So they are very complex, but they are trained on the data which is available, and they are statistical pattern recognition and inference engine and generation models.
My last question is regarding the large amount of patent violations, copyright violations, because it gathers data from different sources like Wikipedia, the newspapers, everywhere. It is stealing data. So there is a large area of content stealing by ChatGPT. It steals ideas from other sources. So there is an IPR violation. It is hugely involved with intellectual property right violation.
That's a very valid point. So yeah, I mean, lots of things are happening in that field also. Artists are claiming that you can't use my art to train DALI or Stable Diffusion and then use it for that. So that is something which is anyway, I think a different body of work has to be done, and the different body is going to be involved to ensure that adherence. But that's definitely a very important problem, because I don't know, I mean, if the large word model is going to come in play, it may happen that the lots of data which is being collected from these autonomous vehicles, autonomous cars, can be used to train it. So wherever the data collection is happening, I am pretty sure that they are going to put a disclaimer that we are going to use your data to train our model. Are you okay with it or not? And that probably will be the important disclaimer in future.
Thank you, Dr. Dubey, for addressing these questions with such clarity and depth. Your responses have added immense value to today's discussion. As a token of our gratitude, may I now invite Dr. Smithadharan, Principal, College of Engineering, Karanagapalli, to the stage to present the memento to Dr. Alpana Dubey.